Snake Eyes Zangief winning this weekend and qualifying for Capcom Cup. Not only that, but he beat Reynolds JP in Grand Finals. He lost 3-0 in Winners Finals. Then in Grand Finals, he showed up and he won 3-2 on the first reset and then 3-0 on the last reset. And in classic Reynolds fashion, he clutched defeat from the jaws of victory. Unfortunate stuff for him, but very impressive for Snake Eyes for sure. As a Reynolds fan, I was like, I knew this was going to happen. The same kind of thing came up with Ending Walker winning with Ryu in all of his events that he's been winning. People talking about Kimberly winning in the Japanese World Warrior event, beating Fujimura's Ken in the finals. People are like, what's going on here, huh? I thought Zangief sucked, guys. What's up, man? I thought Zangief was trash, and here he is winning a tournament, beating JP. What's up, man? I told you guys Zangief was good. The thing is, in most modern games, right, the character who is the weakest is not that weak, right? They're not so weak that they're not a playable character in the game. We all know that Zangief is one on the weaker end of the characters, right? But even being bottom 5 or 3 or 1, right? Who knows? Maybe Zangief's the worst character in the game. I don't know. Being that weak is like not that bad in a modern game. He has problems and stuff, and he's definitely on the weaker end of the cast, but that doesn't make him so weak that he can't compete. He's gonna struggle more to solo win tournaments than a character like Ken or JP, right? We all know that, but like it doesn't mean that the character is so weak that he can't do it. There is value in playing a character like this. Ken's and JP's and like lots of these other characters are like much more common, and Snake mentioned in his interview, like, yeah, I'm not sure if I want to enter tournaments or go places still, because I think people will learn how to deal with Zangief, and I feel like my opponent has to not know what I'm bringing to the table, right? He says like straight up, basically, if my opponents know how Geef works exactly, I'm probably going to have much less chances to win. Kakadu versus Angry Bird, right? He fights Ken every day of his life, and he's perfect parried a million Dragon Lashes. If he fought Zangief, would he be like, okay, perfect, I got the perfect game plan to do this, and then shut this guy down? I don't think so. I think he'd be a little bit more lost against the character. So there's value if your character is weaker. But yeah, I mean, I see Snake Eyes winning, and my opinion about Zangief changes not at all. I'm just like, oh yeah, Zangief's still one of the weakest characters in the game. Snake Eyes just played really well, and it's on him. And I think the important lesson is that when this happens, and you think to yourself, wow, Snake Eyes is just that good, the same kind of thing applies when a strong character wins. Like, sure, does the strong character help them win? Absolutely. But the same way Zangief helps Snake Eyes win. He has problems, but like this character also has cheap things that helps Snake Eyes win a tournament. And when somebody wins with Ken or JP or whatever character people are complaining about, Blanca, Luke, Cammy, whoever, you know, it's the same thing. It's the pilot that matters at the end of the day. Otherwise, we would just be playing AI battles out here and not care about what happens. It's the player behind the character that makes it matter. And yeah, Zangief sucks, dude. He's not one of the best characters in the game. It's not close. He's on the weaker end of the list, is the common opinion. If you're saying the opposite, you are contrarian. And maybe you truly believe that, or maybe you're just going on Twitter being a shithead. But like, we all know that Zangief's not one of the strong characters in the game, right? He's pretty weak. Listen, I'm doing Road to Master, right? I could tell you when a character feels like Ken and when a character feels like Geef, okay? Even playing a character like Jamie or Kimberly, they feel to me much more powerful in a lot of ways than some other characters that are weaker, like Zangief. I feel like those two characters definitely did not feel as weak as Zangief to me. And Zangief, like, he's not that far away from being much better. Like, I don't think Zangief would be top tier if he could do 3 hits into Lariat and his Lariat hit behind. He would just be much better. Like, I think he would feel to me like the other characters that are not the Kens and whoever's of the world. He would feel like that. He would just be like pretty solid character in the middle of the pack. I think that's all he really needs to just feel like a much more complete character. People, when they like see the results, they don't even see Snake Eyes. They just see this and see win. You notice his face is there and Zangief's in the background, but the way most people think about fighting games or tournament results, they just think about character win. Wow, Geef beat JP. Ending Walker winning with Ryu is like not surprising with me, because Ryu is not as strong as Ken or Luke or like, you know, the other two Shotos in the game. He's not like some character who's like miserably weak either. Like, he's not just like he can't do it. And Ending Walker is actually just ridiculous. Like, he is so much better than he probably even gets credit for, and he's ridiculously talented. People know he's good. And when someone wins with a cheap character, you have to think the same thing, because Kakadu wins a tournament or like Angry Bird wins a tournament. We know that Ken and JP are good, okay? We didn't need them to win the tournament to know the characters are good. We knew the characters are good beforehand. They just played really well. The pilot is also ridiculous. Like, you guys know about Chris T in this tournament, right? I'm so mad at Chris T, because Chris T is incredible. He's like one of the best players to play this game by a shit ton. He is so ridiculously good, and he missed the tournament because he was at the gym and he thought it started like 4 hours later. If it's 2-2, Christitarian versus Snake Eyes wins, it's like, wow, man, Geef's pretty good. And then if Ken wins, it's like Ken's broken. Even though it's like the set was 2-2, like what changed, you know, like, I don't know, one interaction went one person's way or whatever. The reality is the character strengths didn't change because Chris T won or Snake Eyes won or whoever, right? It's just like, you know, they won the tournament. They're good players, right? And if you think Zangief is cheap, please play him, because I still have to get like 6 more characters to master, and I would love the free points. What makes Zangief bad? Okay, I'll talk about what makes him good too, actually. One of the biggest problems, I think, is that he can't just do like 3 lights into a special move for a combo. If like the opponent's crouching and he uses like the EX Lariat, he can make this happen sometimes, but then sometimes it just doesn't reach. Meanwhile, by the way, like just think about every other character in the game. This is a 4-hit light confirm, by the way. Like he can just get a drink without spending any meters. The other thing is that if he wants to extend, the problem with like this whole scenario is that does 2,000 damage and gives you no Oki off of a driver. Like, do you see how fucking far? 3 drive gauges, and he is all the way back there, and I've got no pressure. Versus like all these other characters who can just do a light confirm without spending meter. And then not only that, but they get Oki after. Same problem, this headbutt, right? You guys have seen this move. This move is really good. Look, +4 on block, and you can combo off of it on hit, right? The problem is, what are you gonna combo off of it, right? You gotta spend something, right? You gotta do something like this. Again, same kind of problem. Weak Oki off of the exact hit. His other thing, like this is his best poke probably in mid-range a lot of times. And it's a really solid poke. The problem is, it doesn't combo unless it's counter hit or punish counter. He has this, which is really good, and it's armored, but it loses to lows and it loses to drive impact. The other thing is his Oki off of SPD is a little suspect. You can do drive rush into it or drive rush into sweep. But generally his Oki is not very strong on SPD knockdown, right? Like he can do stuff like this, but the chops don't even reach for a combo. And if they wake up DI, it beats overhead and low option. You can't really just like autopilot doing this into like overhead or low, because you're just gonna absolutely eat shit, right? The thing in general is that his SPD damage is very high, but his Oki off of it is quite weak. And in many matchups, putting himself back here means he might lose the round. The other problem is this. Lariat just does not hit behind, as I'm sure many of you know. This is like, I can't believe this is real. I don't know why they did this. Most characters, like if their moves are like this, they can do them early or fast enough to catch the jump, or they can delay it and then make it go the other way. You can just do the DP to go the other way. If I'm doing this, I mean, Rashid's mixer hits behind, like actually just hits behind. His Lariat is like really slow. You try and delay it so that it goes on this side, and Jamie's just doing this, like you're just gonna get stuck. Let me just delay it. Okay. It's just really slow. That's another problem that he has generally. His defense is very weak in this game. So like most of the time when he mashes out with his lights, he doesn't get a combo unless he's point blank, right? Like if he's point blank, he's fine. The other problem is his level 1 is not invincible to get him out of drive impact scenarios. And his level 2 is really slow in startup. It's 18 or whatever this is. Like it's ungodly slow. So slow that if my opponent is doing like a knockdown into like a jab like this, he doesn't even have to care about it. See this? He does too much damage for him to have an auto crosscut like Rashid. Zangief? I know. That's half my drive gauge right there. Look at that damage. The only thing that does a lot of damage is SPD. That's kind of the problem. His regular combo damage is extremely low and very expensive. Even off of like pretty decent hits, like he doesn't, it's not like he's doing some enormous amount of damage most of the time. His punish counter damage is like extremely high. He's destroying your life bar. But in this game, his hits on like regular stuff is not really doing much. Some of his strengths, and I think they're pretty important ones. SPD range is absurd in this game. And it's very important because so many strings in this game, they're doing like jab, 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 this. Blocking the jabs and then doing SPD is like, this is very good. Like a lot of characters they have to run from this, right? Or they're just gonna get caught. This move is ridiculously good. Not only is this move just like a really good poke, really good for drive rush scenarios, but like it is really solid for interactions like this. Like the trade is good for you too. Not only that, but like you can SPD after this move on hit, right? Which is pretty good, or you can sweep or whatever if they're trying to get away, which is like super spooky for them to deal with. And it stuffs drive rush well too. Sweep also goes really far, which is I think really nice. This is actually an excellent whiff punish. This is quite good, I think. He can also whip punish with this in a level 2 is, I think, also really strong. And in the corner, he is really scary, I think. Like, yeah, I mean, walk up SPD is really good. And then not only that, but like, he actually has access to pretty scary combo routing in the corner. Oh, this move is cheap. This move is really annoying to anti-air. Oh, another big strength. This move is hit confirmable. Look at how late you can cancel this move. Do you see that? He's red for forever. He has like this huge time. The wiki says it's 21 frames. Jesus Christ. His level 3 is like one of the gnarliest win cons in the game. Like it just immediately makes it so that all you have to do is literally hit them with level 3 and they win. So everybody just has to hold up the entire game. Your level 2 combo being this to get Oki. Pretty tragic, I can't lie. But then you do that, so it's all good. So like he actually does have a lot of strengths that are quite good. I don't know, people act like he doesn't have any or anything, like he's just so miserable. But like, I don't think that's the case at all. He has strengths. It's just like, he's on the weaker end of the character power in the game overall, which is like fine, no? Like, I don't know. Listen. I know, you know, I get Master with Kimberly. Oniki won the World Warrior tournament with Kimberly. I started playing Zangief. This happens, dude. Whoever I play next, it's time. I did the Blanca Master and then Manel won CEO. I gotta pick who's gonna win the next tournament.